everybody, welcome back. This time a little bit more in depth. So the two kettles we have here are going to be the Stagg EKG and then the Corvo EKG, which we have here today, which we will be testing, and I'm very excited about. Now, I have used the gooseneck kettle probably for 4 or 5 years now and have loved it, though this has always been on my mind because the shape is quite unique. Now, I'm a big fan of the wood handles. Of course, there are other options without wood handles. The main difference between these kettles is just the spout. Everything else is almost identical. Of course, the colors are different. The little dial adjuster, even the handle is the same as well as the lids. The only thing different is the pour spout. So in the gooseneck, I have preferred this the majority of the time because of the controlled pour. And there have been comments online, if you go through a number of comparison videos, where this Stagg EKG pours slow. And that is true. You can't really pour faster than what it was designed for. Now, this may be ideal for pour over coffee and for tea brewing, particularly for more fragile teas. So with raw pour, green teas, some white teas, when you're pouring into the gaiwan or the teapot, one, you need a very controlled, precise pour. You also need to pour slower because you do not want to agitate the tea leaves. But with that being said, sometimes when I brew more bold, roasted, or ripe pour teas, I desire a faster pour. Now, this may get into the nitty-gritty, and maybe it's a little too detailed, but I do pay attention to these things because I make tea so often. And so that's why I've been kind of drawn toward the Corvo EKG. Because of the shorter spout, it pours much faster. Now, with speed, you do lose a few things. You lose the control slightly, and you also risk pouring too much water too fast. You can pour slower with a very steady hand or pour faster. And that all depends on the angle you are holding this kettle. So this is not ideal for beginners or folks that just want to get into the tea and not think much about it. You do have to pay a lot more attention and effort when pouring this kettle into your gaiwan because it's so sensitive. But I have found this is quite enjoyable for right pours or when I need a slightly harder temperature. Ideally, you can have a different kettle for a different type of tea. So I have used the gooseneck for when I brew raw pours, or I use smaller teapots because I need that controlled pour. Now, I have transitioned over to the Corvo EKG when I'm just doing a more casual tea session. Maybe I'm brewing a big cup of tea, right? I don't need a precise pouring. I'm using a larger teapot. I'm using teas that need as high of a temperature as possible. I would use the Corvo. But there is something unique about when you use aged pour, ripe or raw. I have mentioned the technique of overflowing wash. I have noticed the gooseneck is going to be far more controlled for that because when you're doing the overflow wash of a teapot or gaiwan, etc., you need it to pour very, very slowly in and around the teapot. So this is kind of ideal for most small teapots, aged pour, and raw pour, and then I use this predominantly for any type of roasted teas or ripe pour or more casual tea drinking. So I actually like to have both of these on my table, and I'll use this for raw and ripe, and then I can pick which kettle will give me the amount of control I need for the particular tea I'm brewing. So I do hope that was helpful in making your decision. You can find links to both of these kettles below, which will also help support this channel if you like this content. Feel free to give it a like and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. I predominantly focus on loose leaf tea, predominantly raw and ripe pour, but every so often I'll do Teaware or Kettle videos like this. And since I use these kettles so often, I wanted to tell you a little bit of the difference between the gooseneck and the, I guess you can call this the Corvo. I don't have any other good name to it besides the triangle spout, right? So this is the Stagg EKG. The Corvo EKG, both on Fellow, and it really comes down to your personal choice, your personal brewing style. If you don't want to think much of it, this is going to give you kind of all-in-one. It'll control your pour and speed. You don't need to think about it. If you're a little bit more attentive to the detail and want to control the temperature, the brewing, the speed of the pour, well, the Corvo EKG was going to be the one for you. So hope that's helpful. Have a great rest of your day and look forward to seeing you in my next video. Take care.